At exactly 12 a.m., the gates of Pinewood slam shut on their own. The last thing anyone hears before the screaming starts is laughter echoing from the trees. No one inside Pinewood was supposed to be there that night. That was the first detail everyone would later agree on. If there had been anyone left to compare stories. The town sat off a forgotten highway, marked abandoned on state maps, its welcome sign sun-bleached and riddled with bullet holes. Yet by chance or desperation, 9 people crossed its limits before midnight, each believing Pinewood was nothing more than a shortcut, a rest stop, or a place to wait out the dark. When the iron gates slammed shut, the sound wasn't just loud. It felt final, like something ancient locking a vault. The vibration rolled through the pavement and into their bones. A few of them laughed nervously, assuming it was wind or bad timing. Then the laughter came again, higher this time, drifting from the tree line. No one could tell how far away it was. That uncertainty made it worse. Cell phones were the next thing to fail. One by one, screens flickered from full bars to nothing, as if Pinewood rejected outside contact entirely. A truck driver named Harris tried his radio. All he caught was static, layered with something that almost sounded like breathing. When he shut it off, he swore the silence felt heavier than the noise. Why would a town need silence that deep? They gathered near the town square without agreeing to it, pulled together by instinct. The buildings leaned inward, their windows dark, their doors hanging open like mouths mid-confession. A motel sign buzzed weakly, even though the power grid had been dead for years. Someone asked who had turned it on. No one answered. The question itself felt dangerous. Midnight passed, and that was when Pinewood changed. Streets they had walked minutes earlier stretched longer than they should have. Turns led back to the same cracked fountain. Every attempt to leave curved inward, subtly at first, then undeniably. It was as if the town had decided where they belonged. Who decides something like that? The first scream cut through the air at 12:07 a.m. It came from behind the old movie theater, sharp and abrupt, ending too quickly to feel human. By the time they reached the alley, there was nothing there but a dropped flashlight and a smear of something dark soaking into the concrete. No body, no struggle. Just absence, like the town had swallowed someone whole. Panic fractured the group. Some ran, some hid, some froze, convinced that movement itself might draw attention. That was when the masked figure appeared at the edge of the street, standing beneath a broken street lamp. The mask was plain, almost careless, but the way it tilted suggested curiosity. It didn't rush. It waited, as if learning. They realized then that Pinewood wasn't just trapping them, it was helping. Doors locked behind fleeing footsteps. Windows slammed shut on reaching hands. Alleyways narrowed when someone tried to squeeze through. The town responded, adapting. Who was really hunting whom? Another scream followed, closer this time, echoing off buildings that hadn't echoed in decades. The laughter returned, overlapping the sound, no longer distant. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Some said it sounded like a child. Others said it sounded wrong, in ways they couldn't explain. Either way, it felt pleased. By 12:30 a.m., they understood the rule they had never been told. Pinewood didn't let people leave. It only decided how long they lasted. The masked figure moved again, and the town shifted with it. Lights flickering on where there had been darkness, guiding footsteps like a stage set rearranging itself mid-scene. Hiding became impossible. Waiting became worse. Every breath felt loud. Every shadow felt intentional. Somewhere between the laughter and the screams, a terrible realization settled in. Morning wasn't coming for them. Morning was coming for Pinewood. And Pinewood was hungry. By 1 a.m., Pinewood no longer pretended to be empty. The town breathed around them, slow and deliberate, as if settling into a rhythm it had missed. Those still alive counted footsteps instinctively, because silence meant the masked figure was near. Noise meant it was watching. Either option felt wrong. How do you survive a place that reacts to fear? They regrouped inside the old sheriff's station, the only building that still felt solid. Its walls were thick, its doors heavy, its past soaked into the wood. Inside, they found records scattered across desks, pages yellowed and brittle, missing persons reports dated back decades, all ending the same way. No bodies, no exits, no explanations. Pinewood had been collecting long before tonight. The laughter returned, softer now, drifting through the vents like a whisper meant for one person at a time. One woman collapsed, clutching her ears, insisting it was calling her name. When they dragged her away from the doorway, the laughter stopped instantly, as if disappointed. That reaction made the truth clearer. The town listened, it responded. At 1:18 a.m., the masked figure breached the station without forcing a door. It simply appeared at the end of the hallway, framed by flickering fluorescent lights. Its footsteps were calm, measured, like someone confident in a familiar space. When Harris fired his gun, the sound was swallowed, the bullet vanishing before it reached the target. Pinewood didn't allow resistance. Why pretend otherwise? They ran again, but this time the town rearranged itself faster. Hallways bent, doors led outside and back inside in the same step. Streets merged into dead ends that hadn't existed moments earlier. The remaining survivors began to understand something worse than being hunted. The masked figure wasn't the main threat. It was an extension, a tool Pinewood used when boredom set in. A woman named Claire found the clock tower at 1:33 a.m. Its hands were frozen at midnight, rusted in place, yet the ticking echoed anyway. Beneath it, carvings covered the stone, names etched so deeply they couldn't be weathered away. Some were crossed out, some were circled, some were unfinished, letters stopping abruptly, as if the carver had been interrupted. The unfinished names looked the newest. That was when the shadows began moving on their own. They peeled away from walls, stretching across the ground, pointing toward hiding places with deliberate intent. One man tried to outrun them. The shadows caught him first. When the masked figure arrived seconds later, it was only to observe. Pinewood had already decided his ending. By 2 a.m., only 2 people remained. They stopped running. Exhaustion stripped fear down to something colder, more focused. If Pinewood was alive, then it followed rules. If it followed rules, then it could be denied something. That thought alone felt dangerous, like testing a boundary meant to stay sealed. They returned to the gates. The iron bars loomed unchanged, still locked tight, still silent. Together, they screamed, not in panic, but in defiance. They refused to hide, refused to flee, refused to entertain the hunt. For a moment, the town hesitated. The laughter cut off mid-breath. Even the wind seemed unsure. The masked figure appeared one last time, closer than ever. Its head tilted, not in curiosity now, but confusion. Pinewood didn't react, it waited. And in that pause, the truth became unavoidable. Pinewood fed on fear, on isolation, on desperation. Without it, the town weakened. At exactly 5:59 a.m., the gates creaked open. No sound announced it. No warning followed. Dawn spilled across the road, pale and indifferent. Only one person stepped through. Behind them, Pinewood settled back into stillness, its streets empty once more, its hunger postponed, not satisfied. By sunrise, the town was abandoned again. Officially, nothing happened. Unofficially, Pinewood added new names to its walls. And every night since, just before midnight, the gates test their hinges, waiting.